Welcome back to Dirty 20, everyone. Today we're going to talk about 5 elements of 5th edition that you can ignore until you can't or shouldn't. You'll see what I mean. Let's get on with the show. Thanks for joining us, lovely people. Today I wanted to talk about 5 things that I tend to ignore in 5th edition. But when I haven't ignored them, they've led to some pretty cool moments. So, first up is ammunition. I love playing ranged characters. In fact, stick around for the second part of the video where we're going to build a sniper. And there are a lot of cool options for ranged characters, such as the Arcane Archer. But one of the things that seems to me to be a little bit tedious is keeping track of your ammunition. So I mean bolts, arrows, darts. Now usually I will admit that I do not keep track of this when I play a ranged character, and I don't really expect my players to keep track of it when I'm DMing for them. But I think there are some exceptions to this that can bring a lot of tension and can be really good from a narrative standpoint. First off, I think if you give your players any kind of special ammunition, say magical arrows, it will make them a lot more special if there is a limited amount of them. Also, at lower levels, when confronted with, say, a horde of goblins or kobolds, the tension from running low on ammunition cannot be denied. I will say though that this kind of trick can lose its effectiveness as you go up in levels. Next up, food and drink. Now, one of the things that comes with every pack that you can buy, equipment pack, whether it's dungeoneering or exploring or diplomats, whatever, they usually come with rations. Now, I don't think I have ever enforced keeping track of these in any of my games. But it can't be denied that food and drink would be a central part of the characters' lives. But then so's like going to the toilet, and we don't really focus on that much. Not to mention that there are specific spells that exist in order to deal with the situation of running out of rations. I'm looking at you, Goodberry. And as DMs, when you're world building, food and alcohol is such a big part of culture that I don't think it can really be ignored. One of my favorite third-party books that I use all the time is Remarkable Inns and Their Drinks. Please check out the video we did on it in the description below. And the best part of this book for me is undoubtedly the menus. I can't tell you how much fun I've had at the table with characters ordering food and getting drunk and things like that. Okay, now on to clothes. This I think is probably more of a personal preference. If you're an artist who likes to draw your characters, or you're really into fashion, then the kind of clothes that your characters would be wearing and other characters in the world would be wearing might be really important to you. But for me, it has little to no bearing. I tend to think more about what type of armor are people wearing, whether it's, studded leather or scale mail or whatever. But again, that is reductive. Clothes, like food and drink, are a massive part of culture. And again, as DMs, we like to world build. We're going to be describing the clothes that the people are wearing when your characters arrive in a new city in a far off land. Now, these last two might be a little controversial, but stick with me. For those of you that are regular viewers and have seen me create a bunch of characters now already, you'll notice that I don't really think about or worry about the kinds of languages that I'm going to pick for a character. There's a couple of reasons for that. I think that it's a very kind of setting specific thing, right? So, if you're going to be playing in Chult, or you're going to be playing in a kind of elven city or something like that, then that's going to make those choices a little bit easier. There are also, again, some specific spells which are supposed to aid you when you can't communicate with someone. In-game, however, I've never really come across situations where this has really been an issue, but there are some. I'm thinking of the Sunless Citadel. This is an adventure that you can find in Tales of the Yawning Portal. I've run it a couple of times, and it's really, really good. It's a great adventure to go from kind of early low levels to like maybe level 5 by the time you're over, by the time it's done. But in it, you're exploring a temple which was dedicated to a dragon or a dragon cult, and there's one section where you come across a statue. And, you know, in the pre-written adventure, it says that if none of your players can speak Draconic, then they can't read what the inscription is, and some things can't happen. Equally, there's a couple of moments where they're faced with some characters that only speak their language, and, you know, unless they can communicate with them, it's going to end up in a fight, right? So there are definitely situations where speaking a specific language can be important and can lead to some cool moments, like getting some loot or something like that. Once again, though, I tend to just ignore it or not think about it until the moment comes. Spell components. Now, this is one thing that I don't really keep track of. I haven't played a lot of Magic users, but and I know, you know, a component pouch has the things that you need. A lot of times the components that are spoken about in spell descriptions are a bit more kind of fluff, like a raven's feather or a piece of rope, a vial of oil, things like that. But some require components such as a diamond of a certain value. I'm thinking specifically of the resurrection spell. And I've never really expected my players to keep track of components or even costs. Again, some people might say that that is going too far, but I've not found that it really changes the game that much. However, I do still enforce things like the verbal component, so the words that someone has to say for a spell to go off, or the somatic component, so the hand waving or the wand, you know, movement, whatever it might be, because, you know, otherwise you can get round the fact that, you know, you can say a spell quietly, or, you know, that your hands are tied, right? So I still keep track of that kind of prerequisite, but not so much for cost and components, except when it helps build the narrative. One of the best moments I've had at a table was when a player character had died and a very important NPC had died. Now, this NPC was central to the politics of the city and had been an ally to the players. Now, a friendly cleric presented the possibility of casting a resurrection spell, but they only had the one diamond, and it was time sensitive. So I made the players choose. To this day, they still remind me about how heart-wrenching that choice was. They ended up helping the NPC. But it was a great, epic moment in a really kind of personal way. Before we jump into our character building section, please make sure you have subscribed and hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. So, here we go, guys. As always, we are using 5th edition character sheet, using their character creator. And today we're going to be doing a sniper style character. Now, one that I've always wanted to play, but I've just never really had the chance to yet. But he's kind of a little bit based on some historical figures, which I often like to do as well. And he's kind of part based on Simo Häyhä, known as the White Death by the Red Army during World War II. He was a Finnish sniper who is thought to have killed over like 500 people during the war. So, like, the #1 sniper. And then also Vasily Zaitsev, the man on who the film Enemy at the Gates is based. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go human variant, because we want that starting feat. Class, we're going to go ranger, and you're going to see why in a little bit. And then background, we're going to go soldier, because it's just nice and flavorful. Now, for skills, first off, we're going to go with stealth. I think a trained sniper has to be really good at hiding themselves. Now, you could multi-class this into rogue, but in which case you would probably start with rogue, but I want to get to that second feat as quickly as possible, so I'm just going to be going straight variant human up until level 4. So we got stealth then. Now for our ability scores. So humans, variant humans get +1 to 2, but again you get that lovely feat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Dex 16. We need that because that's how we hit, that's how we do damage, all of those good things. I'm going to go Con 15 because I want him to have quite a few hit points. I'm going to go Wisdom 12. You know, wisdom skills are just useful. Perception is like the #1 skill that I ask my players to roll. So if your perception's not great, then it's going to be a problem. Then I'll go 11 for charisma, 10 for strength, and intelligence 8. Again, dumping either intelligence. I could dump strength, but you know, I like the idea that, you know, he's a soldier, so he's reasonably strong. And then we're going to go +1 to dex and +1 to con. Usually I'd add that +1 to charisma to get that to an even number, but again, I just want to get that dex up as high as I can. It affects everything from your AC to your ability to hit and all of these things. Okay, now 3 skills. We're going to go nature. I like the idea of a sniper that can, you know, hide and stuff like that. Again, perception, super important. And survival. I think that, you know, being somewhere for days on end waiting for a shot, you'd be fairly good at that kind of thing. Now here we start getting to some of these optional features. So, you know, the Ranger was very much improved in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And, you know, that is kind of the book that has, I don't want to say fixed a lot of the problems with the Ranger, but certainly made it better. Right, so I'm going to go marking. Proficiency per day. You can concentrate to mark a creature you hit for a minute, dealing 1d4 extra damage once per turn. Again, a nice little bonus. We're going to see with spells, one of which is a go-to for Rangers, but we're going to go marking. Now here, I'm going to kind of contradict myself from the main body of the video, where I said, languages, don't worry about it, just forget about them. But here, expertise. Now, expertise, for me, outweighs, you know, it's good enough on its own that I don't care about the languages. It's a nice bonus, right? Learn 2 extra languages and gain expertise in a skill. So for expertise, we're going to go stealth, I think. I could go perception. Again, you know, really good eyes, being able to spot things. In fact, you know what? I think I will. Originally I thought stealth would be better, but I'm going to go perception. Now, the feat. The reason why we want this particular variant human is because of, where is it? Here we go. Sharpshooter. Your range attacks ignore half and 3/4 cover, don't have disadvantage from long range, and you can take -5 to a range attack for +10 to damage. Now you're going to see what our bonus is like, because you'll think, Jesus, -5. But in fact, our bonus is going to be so good by the time we're done building this character that that's going to be a nice exchange for +10 damage. So, here we have it. Level 1, I'm going to go leather armor, I'm going to go short swords, Dungeoneer's pack, and we have no choice, but we're going with longbow and arrows, 20 of them. Again, I don't care, but we're going to name our guy Simo Zaitsev. In honor of the 2, you know, snipers from World War II. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to armor, and we're going to give him some studded leather, which is going to bring him nicely to 15 armor class, not bad at all. Plus 3 dexterity, plus 3 constitution. That plus 3 is going to turn into plus 4 soon enough, or as soon as we can. That's my suggestion, because suddenly everything improves a lot. Your stealth is pretty amazing. Your perception is pretty amazing, even though your wisdom is only plus 1. And then here we can see our longbow. Plus 5 to hit, 1d8 plus 3. But what I'm actually going to do, because rather than longbow, I prefer ranged the heavy crossbow. 1d10 piercing damage, a minimum range of 100 feet, in order to, not get disadvantaged. But again, we're a sharpshooter, doesn't matter. So our range is actually 400. It's heavy, it requires loading, and it's two-handed. But again, for me, it works nicely for a sniper. So I'm going to go with that. And let's have a look at what we get. So 1 extra skill proficiency. What did we take? I think we took stealth originally. 1 bonus feat. We picked sharpshooter, of course, which here we can see. Sharpshooter, your range attacks ignore half and 3/4 cover. You don't have disadvantage from long range, and you can take -5 to a ranged attack for a plus 10 damage. So at the minute, it would be plus nothing, a straight roll to get plus 10 damage. Maybe not great, but it will get better. Now we chose the soldier background, so you have influence within your former army or organization. And the ranger features, we have marking, proficiency per day. So our proficiency currently is 2. So twice per day, we can concentrate to mark a creature you hit for a minute, dealing 1d4 extra damage once per turn. Nice, again. It means that we're going to start laying on the pressure when we're shooting at people. Expertise in language. Learn 2 extra languages and gain expertise in a skill. Double proficiency with perception. Then we've got light armor, medium armor, but I tend to think that, a sniper would want to be in as light armor as possible and flexible. Simple and martial weapons, 1 type of gaming set, vehicles, land, very nice. Common, extra language, plus another 2 from our choice. And then obviously the things we get. But why don't we level this bad boy up? Sticking with Ranger. And here, this is why we've chosen it. We're going to go archery. And with archery, you get +2 attack with ranged weapons. So we're okay with that. We apply that. Now, let's have a look at our weapons. Suddenly, our longbow and our crossbow are +7, which is looking pretty nice. Okay, then what else? Now, we get some spells, so why don't we take a look? It's 2 first-level spells. And I'm going to go with some classics. I'm going to go Hunter's Mark. As a bonus action, you can mark a target, giving you a +D6 damage whenever you hit them. And you can move it on to the next target once they're killed. So again, you've got your D10 from the crossbow, +3. Then you can add a d6 if you've cast Hunter's Mark. And you also get a d4 for the marking that we chose in the optional features. So that's pretty cool. Then we're going to go Hail of Thorns. Really nice for area of effect. Say you've got a lot of minions coming up to you, so that's when this will be a very handy spell. We've chosen archery +2, and everything is the same. So let's go up again. Now here we could take some bonus spells. I tend to not like, lots of magic and stuff when I'm doing a martial, fighty kind of character. So I'm going to go with Detect Creatures. You can sacrifice a spell slot as an action to determine if certain creature types are within 1 mile or 6 miles if it's your favored terrain. So that's nice, you're good at spotting things, basically. Now, we're going to select a subclass. Here, there's some good options. The Gloom Stalker is pretty cool, but it's more for like the Underdark caves, things like that. I love a Monster Slayer, but this isn't the right kind of thing for them. Clearly, Hunter is the one to go for. And here, what we're going to do, we could go with Wounded Prey. These names are a little bit different in the Player's Handbook and in Tasha's, just so you know. But we love our 5th edition character creator, or character sheet, so we're sticking with it. Now, Wounded Prey, you deal 1d8 extra damage versus injured creatures once per turn. Again, nice for dealing with big things. Big Game Hunter, you use a reaction to attack a creature of at least large size that attacks you. You're not really going to be, or you're going to try and stay away as possible using this character, so I don't think that's actually that useful. I would go Twin Strike. You can make a second attack against the creature adjacent to your first target once per turn. So again, it gives you an extra attack. So that's going to be an issue for us for our crossbow, because it has the loading property, which means that it requires a bonus action to reload. Now, you can't shoot twice, right? But we're going to fix that in the next level. So again, we chose Detect Creatures and Twin Strike for our Ranger features. And now we're going to go to level 4. We're going to stick with the Ranger. And we could, just up our dexterity or add to our ability scores. It's always very tempting to do that. But really, Crossbow Expert is where it's at. You don't have disadvantage from adjacent enemies on ranged attacks. You can load crossbows faster, and you can make a bonus action attack with a hand crossbow after attacking with a one-handed weapon. Last part is fine, it's great, lovely, but we're not going to change styles because we like the Twin Strike. Now, the real reason to take Crossbow Expert is the fact that you ignore the loading quality of crossbows with which you are proficient. So suddenly you can attack twice in one turn, and it's not a problem. You've still got that +7, which will be +8 pretty quick. If you can, either find an item to up your dex or, get that next feat. Now, for our last level 1 spell, again, I'm going to be a little bit boring, and I'm going to go with Alarm. I like the idea that as a sniper, you got to kind of like just be in a spot for a really long time, so you'd set up some kind of thing to warn you if someone was coming. But there we have it, Simo Zaitsev, with a Ranger level 4, 15 armor class, dex of 17, con of 16, expertise in perception, and +7 to hit, Sharpshooter, some nice spells. This is a character that I've been wanting to play with for so long. Definitely very, very cool. There we have it, lovely people. What are your thoughts on these elements that I think can be ignored until they can't? Are there any other elements that you set aside for the most part? Let us know in the comments below. Like, share this with your friends, and as always, keep slaying. If you've enjoyed this content, then please smash that like button, subscribe, share this around online, and come and visit our website, www.lavictoriaproductions.com, to see all our past episodes, as well as our blog posts and all the stuff that we're currently working on at La Victoria Productions. Why not reach out to us and tell us what you think of our videos? You can reach us on Twitter. @MouthLaVictoria is our producer. We are also on Instagram. I am Enano LVP, and our producer is Jazzy J Cherot. We're also La Victoria Productions on Facebook and LinkedIn. Come on by and let us know what you think.